And then there was the time in a not too distant chapter where the man looked over and he said in a gravelly, low voice, Do you ever think we're becoming too abusive to ourselves? And the rabbit wasn't even really conscious, and the pickup truck swayed as it went down the highway. And the man said, Rabbit, I'm trying to have a conversation, a deep and meaningful moment as we travel down this dark Midwestern. It was a Midwestern through plain states. It was a very gruesome highway. No one should ever have to go there. No one should have to be there. If you were born there, they should helicopter you out to New York City and give you a free ticket to Hoboken. And then from Hoboken, you could hitchhike. But that would be good for you. If you were in the plain states, you were born there, you would say, hey, it's beautiful. It's like the surface of the moon with grass. It's like the surface of the moon over here with some grass and a bison. You give me a couple of bison. I see one every 5 years, a bison. On the side of the road, I see a pregnant bison. That's where I live. But as we were driving through and the pickup truck swayed on the highway, the man, he said, Rabbit, would you please? I'm trying to confide in you. And the rabbit, he kind of shook. He had a little shimmy to signify maybe he was listening or maybe he was still unconscious. And the man, he couldn't figure it out. So he said again, he said, Rabbit, I'll pull this truck over. I'll pull this truck over on this loathsome highway. But the rabbit, he paid him no heed. And the dog was in the bed of the pickup truck. He was fast asleep. So the man, he eventually pulled over at a rest stop. And he got out and he told the dog, he commanded the dog, he said, get in that cab of that truck. And the dog jumped up after he had a few false starts. He was a kind of a timid dog. He was a little afraid to jump up into the truck, but he finally jumped up, and the man was very sour that the rabbit would never engage in a deep and meaningful philosophical conversation. So he slammed the car door to awaken the rabbit, and then he went into the lavatory, and the rabbit, he shook awake, and the dog's butt was kind of almost in his face. He says, "What dog? What are you stupid? What the hell? Hey, what are you stupid?" He said. The rabbit, he was indignant because the rear haunches of the dog was right up into his face and his snout. His whiskers had some dog hair on them. He was very, very verklempt and unhappy with the situation. He said, "Hey, buddy, come in. Okay, what are you stupid? Forgive me. I'm sorry. I shouldn't say it like that. But come on, buddy. Come on, sit." He commanded the dog. He very forcefully commanded the dog. And the dog almost was indignant a little himself because he's like, I was just sleeping in the back of the pickup truck. I was happy as we were going down this loathsome highway. And the man, he rusted me up and he threw me up in here with you. And I didn't even know you were in here, quite frankly. I didn't even know. I thought that maybe it was a dust pillow or something over here. I had no conception that you were in here. And the dog didn't say that because the dog didn't speak, but this was the thoughts that were going through the dog mind. So to speak, much more dumbed down than that, but it was similar to those thoughts. It wasn't quite that good because the dog can't really, formulate those in-depth, free-flowing, he couldn't string together that many sentences. So the rabbit, he said to the dog, "Hey, listen, I can tell you're pretty indignant. I see you're kind of, a little bit annoyed with me." And the dog, he looked off to the side. Well, unbeknownst to them, as the rabbit was trying to say, "Yeah, my friend the dog, I am sorry. I mean, I woke up and your ass was in my face. It was a hard thing to take without, lashing out a little bit. I'm sorry," he said to the dog. And the dog, he kind of smiled a little bit. And the rabbit, he almost became nuzzled down. And unbeknownst to both of them, the man, he had walked into the lavatory, and another man had followed him in. He passed a man, a blonde-haired man, who was standing on the sidewalk off to the side. He wasn't smoking. He was standing there, and the man was, "Oh my God, I'm going to get mugged. I'm going to get slaughtered." And so the man, he walked into the lavatory to the urinal, and the man followed him all the way in, the blonde-haired man in the denim jacket, and he didn't even pull his pecker out. He said, "I'm not even pissing in this thing. I'm not even pissing in this, this urinal. I'm not, because I'm getting ready for a fisticuff." And he was poised to swirl around and try to beat what he took to be a mugger. And as he escaped back, he haunched up, and then he just took off, and he walked, strided up as strong as he could walk, and he didn't even turn around to see if the homosexual man was following him. And the homosexual man, he knew better, and the man didn't know it was a homosexual man at the time. He thought it was a mugger, and he was very scared. He thought he was going to get knifed in his back. He was very scared. And when he got in the car, he started driving down the road, and he said, "Rabbit, my goodness gracious, I was just almost attacked by a mugger." And the rabbit, he stirred a little, and the rabbit, he looked almost at the dog, and he almost was wishing the dog could say it, but the rabbit finally said, "It was not a mugger, you fool, it's a homosexual. He's trying to have a homosexual encounter with you in that laboratory over there. The laboratory homosexual, And the man said, "It's 3 o'clock in the morning." In his hoarse voice, the man said, "It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Are you crazy? What kind of homosexual have the energy to stand out there? He hopes another homosexual is coming by." And the man said, "What do you think? If he was a mugger, you would have been mugged. You would have been dead. This is a homosexual, and you quite frankly, maybe you could have been a little nicer. Maybe you could have been a little bit more, I don't want to say hospitable, or but maybe, just maybe, you could have been a little bit more, humane, or whatever you want to call it. Maybe you could have, tried to be a little, have a little touch, make a little tiny bit of a, connection with the homosexual man from the lavatory, but not you. Oh, no. And the man didn't know what to say, and he stared down at the dotted line on the highways, and it seemed like the dots were getting longer, and he surmised he must be going slower, and he didn't think it was a very good thing by any stretch of the imagination. He only realized he had a very, very long distance yet to travel.